Talk about diesel versus gas. So we've got two of the F words here, and basically that's all they made bucket trucks in, mostly in this era, because the chassis are cheap. So what else are you going to go with, right? Cheaper chassis, more cheaper truck, more people buy it. That's what they did. I'm not saying they're better than the other brands. I'm just saying that's what they are. So we got a Ford 550 7.3, okay, and we got a Ford Super Duty prior to the 450 550 era, 91 EFI 460, and we're going to talk about the gas mileage between the two and the weight differences. And I'm going to talk to you guys about why people think the diesel is is more, because at the pump it's more expensive, they think, but when you get to find out, you can get it cheaper once you know where to buy it, because some places are way high on diesel. So there might be 40 to 50 cents a gallon difference where I live between one gas station and another. So but people think it's a lot cheaper to buy a gas motor when you're talking about a heavy truck. So let's go over this real quick. So what we have here, so when I drive, my city mileage in this truck is between, and this is, okay, this truck, let's talk about weight first. To be fair, this truck, it weighed in at, I think it was 10,500. I haven't had it weighed in a while. 10,000 pounds. I probably got about 1,000 pounds of equipment on it, maybe. So it's probably at 11,000 pounds, you know, with a driver and passenger. This one I know a little bit more of the weight. It's much heavier. It is 13.9 without anybody in it. With passengers and all the equipment in it, it's close to about almost 15,000 pounds. So I'm right under the weight limit. I have to make sure that I'm not full going through scales of fuel. So it's always right there. So which one gets better mileage? Which one pulls the hills better? Which one is more cost effective to use all the time? And it's hands down diesel, 100%. Let's talk about what that difference is. So the gas motor in the city, and I've actually checked mileage on all this stuff, so it's between 4 and 6 miles a gallon in the city, and that's driving it like a baby, trying to keep it from sucking the gas up. And on the highway, it's done as well as 8 miles a gallon on flat roads. So not too terrible on the highway, but in the city it's pretty awful. And like if you get stuck in traffic, all of a sudden you can just watch the gas go down. And it's a lot lighter truck. Now, what does the Ford, the 7.3 do? The 7.3, this is a 2000, the other one's a 91, so there's a little bit of age difference. Both the engines are super in really good shape. This 7.3 is rebuilt. The 460 is also rebuilt in perfect shape, good compression, really well maintained. So it looks like hell, but it's actually, that's just the body. The engine and trans and all that's very in good shape. So so the 7.3, what are we talking about? Before the engine rebuilt, I was getting 9 miles a gallon. I think I'm closer to 10 now. I know it's a little bit better, but I haven't got a chance to do a fuel check on it yet. About 10 miles a gallon, I'm going to say, highway and city. So it really doesn't change much when you get on the highway with this truck as it does in the city. Maybe because of the rear end gears. I think it's got 573s or something like that in it, and it's a 5 or 6 speed stick shift tranny, and the other one's automatic. or no, they're both stick shift, sorry. This one's stick shift 5-speed, this one's stick shift 6-speed. But it definitely, it's geared lower than the, well, maybe they're geared about the same. I think it actually is a little bit lower. A little bit lower in the 550 diesel. And pulling the hills, we're talking about going up the same hill. So let's compare on the Grapevine. On the 550, with it being heavier, it will basically, I run out of RPMs because I have to downshift into fourth. So at fourth, the max speed's about 55, and it'll do that all the way up. This one here, again, when I'm climbing that hill, I can't stay in fifth gear. Or actually, that's sixth gear, so it's really fifth or whatever. But the first is low, so I don't really count that. So I usually say it's a 5-speed with a low, so it's actually a 6-speed tranny. So, but in 1-to-1, which is fourth gear or fifth gear, I call it fourth gear, but it's probably fifth gear if you want to count that L for 1 gear. In fourth gear, it does about 55 max speed at the top RPMs, and I can pull that all the way up the hill, but I usually drop it down to about 52 or 53 and keep the RPMs down a little bit, save the motor. So when I'm climbing with this one, about the max speed is about 50 up the same mountain. So it's a lot lighter weight, and and you can almost watch the gas gauge go down. It probably drops to about 2 miles a gallon very quickly. So if you're looking at buying a gas or diesel heavy duty truck, and you're going to drive it enough, if you're only going to use it a couple times a year, then maybe gas will work out for you. Or if you're driving it really short distances, you might want to consider the gas. But honestly, you're going to save a lot more by buying a diesel, because the gas mileage is so much better. The miles per gallon is so much better. They don't use gas, obviously. But but if your cost per mile with diesel engines is typically, on my experience, is about 30% less. So like this truck here, I did a job. We went to the same place with both trucks. This truck I used a quarter of a tank, a little past quarter of a tank, so I probably used about 16-17 gallons, and the engine was running and idling the whole time. This one here, I was using the generator on it, so it doesn't use as much gas as obviously the engine does. And this truck came back with a quarter tank of fuel. This truck came back with almost 3/4 of a tank of fuel. So that's how much difference in one day. So I probably used $75 worth of fuel in this one in one day, and in this truck I used about 50. So that's $25. It's 25%, $25 in one day. So that's about 30%. It's always been that way in my regular pickup truck, and also in my heavy duty regular pickup truck, 3/4 ton. It's always been that way. So if you want to know what the actual differences is between gas and diesel, that's where you're at. That's a really good comparison on pulling weight. You're going to save a lot more money if you're using diesel. All right, talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.